Souls games are known for many original features. However, hand-holding is not one of them. At this point, NPC quests must exist for encouraging players to do a New Game Plus, just because of how many might be missed in our first journey. For this video, I've played through every major NPC quest in Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 to figure out which one is the hardest to perform without any guides. In order to create a fair list, I am not including quests for alternate endings. Otherwise it would be unfair to compare, for example, Logan's quest with the Usurpation of Fire ending of Dark Souls 3, which literally requires Souls players to get married. Unbelievably hard, no? Now that we know the rules, let me walk you through my thoughts and what led me to what I think is the most unnatural to follow plotline out there. While booting up Dark Souls 1, I already had in mind who were my three suspects. The first to be inspected, Solaire. His quest is not that much of a hassle to finish. Incorrectly, that is. Which ends up making you finish him. However, this is uglier than a kick to the balls, so in order to save him, you just have to donate 30 humanities to Quelaag's sister. Don't enter Lost Izalith, that's the trigger to make him go hollow. Instead, go down here, unlock this random shortcut thanks to the 30 souls you donated before, and kill this specific bug that, if left alive, it will make Solaire go mad. Everything that I have said to you is explained nowhere, so good luck. My second suspect is Sigmire. This Knight of Katarina suffers from a very specific sickness. It's called IDMD, which stands for Information Deficit Minimal Activity Disorder. I think minimal activity requires no explanation. But what about information deficit? Well, the first few steps to meet him and exhaust his dialogue are straightforward, at least up until Orlando. Then imagine, do you remember playing hide and seek with your friends at school? Now replace every single student with creatures who want you dead. The school grounds are now the size of Russia, poison lakes included, and they gave you no hint of where they would be. That's pretty much how it feels when he says,
"There you are. I'll be heading down below shortly."
Below where exactly? The depths? New Londo? Blighttown? In that corner across the entire poison swamp where there is literally nothing to do or see? How didn't I think of it before? His daughter also decides to hide inside of a random golem, and clearly she doesn't know where her father is either.
Oh, have you seen my father?
No.
After all of this, he randomly moves to this corner of Lost Izalith, unnoticed. Let me tell you, did you think finding him here was hard? Try keeping him alive against the Chaos Eaters. The odds are so stacked against you that most people just snipe some of the Chaos Eaters before going down, because imagine, doing all of the previous steps just to go watch him being flushed into nothing. If you manage to save him, you still have to go to one of the most well-hidden zones ever in video gaming. You see that tree trunk over there? Smack this wall and you'll descend towards a beach which is the home of a dragon. How fucking random can this be? And somehow you had to guess he'll be here after his quest ends. I hate your guts, Miyazaki. Although not exactly a side quest or an ending, the errands you must perform to enter the DLC are nuts. It's the opposite of pay to win. It's a pay to lose your sanity situation. Kill big water snake, reload the game of rest, go to hidden corner, deal with golem, talk to strange lady. For some reason at the entrance of the Duke's archives, deal with another golem which will give you a pendant. Bring this pendant back and enter the portal. You must do all of this in this exact order. Finishing this golem won't give you the pendant unless you've defeated the Hydra and met Dusk of Ulasil. Moving on to Dark Souls 2, honestly I had to do some investigation first. Peak Souls 2 is my least played game of the trilogy for some unknown reason, so I had to poke around the peak to find out how some of these quests progressed. This game puts a fat emphasis on co-oping with NPCs to complete their quests. For instance, Lucatiel's and Bernhard's won't be completed unless you've summoned them to beat bosses. 3 for Bernhard and 5 for Lucatiel. And yes, they have to be alive by the end of the fight. Anyway, beating the boss without the summon is not much of a problem because Dark Souls 2 has that feature that games like Mid-Ring didn't bother to bring back. The aesthetic. Simply burn one at the closest bonfire and you'll have a second shot at defeating the boss with the NPC summoned by your side. The real difficulty comes from finding them and exhausting all their dialogues in their different spawns, exceptionally with Lucatiel, where you can't talk to her next to Aldia's Keep unless you've done the previous steps. Simply talking to her without having beaten 5 bosses with her as a summon will fill the entire quest automatically. I hope Miyazaki is better at communication in real life than he is at his games. I can only imagine him filing divorce papers because his wife failed to follow the correct order of housekeeping and decided to wash the dishes first before throwing out the trash. By the way, one quest that cannot be fixed with ascetics is Navlan's. If you pull that lever, it's over. What were they aiming for by jotting down all these notes saying, "Don't you dare"? This makes me want to pull it even more. Just another trap to mess with us brain-rotted completionists, so we have to start another playthrough. Basically, you can only do his quest if you leave him locked, which is unorthodox. Then you must talk to him while Hollow, because if you come as a human, he'll be just a merchant. By coming as a Hollow, he'll ask you to hunt 4 people: Gilligan, Gale, Falcon, and the Firekeeper. But how does he know whether you finish these people? He actually doesn't. You only have to show him a proof that the job is done. But what we're never told is that all of these items can be acquired without stabbing them in the back. Gilligan sells you his. Falcon gives it to you if you have 20 faith and intelligence. The Firekeeper will give the feather to you once you make it to the Dragon Eyrie. And Kale is by far the hardest one, since he is hidden in a cave not so easy to spot, and you also have to defeat 6 bosses, including Nashandra, who's the final boss depending on whether you did the steps to unlock Aldia. Next up, we got Dark Souls 3. Call off the marriage, we're not counting it for this video. Neither will Yura's quest, because both affect endings, which instantly makes them unnecessarily complicated. In this game, my top 3 consists of Sigurd, Ceres, and Hawkwood. Starting with Hawkwood, simply by the fact that you have to access Archdragon Peak to continue his quest. That's enough reason for it to deserve this podium. There is literally no way an employed human being would guess you have to get this gesture, acquired after defeating an optional boss, use it right here and wait a few seconds for your character to doze off and mentally wake up somewhere else. And then, on top of that, use the same gesture here for a few seconds to acquire the last Dragonstone. In this case, you can summon Hawkwood to clear the area, but that requires you to be embered, right here, which is already a bit random. Then, if he survives the whole ordeal, he'll do the gesture to acquire his stone, which gives away the fact that you have to do the same, but it seems this step is optional because there are people who have fought him in the Abyss Watcher's room without summoning him in Archdragon Peak. After that, we got Ceres' questline. Hers is a bit like Hawkwood's, where there are bits that can be followed without much issue, just by exhausting some dialogues. Finding her in the bridge to Irithyll after killing that big beast can be a bit situational, but nothing extraordinary. Also, finding the Dream Chaser's ashes in Farron Keep, it's in a hidden zone behind an illusory wall, but to be fair, you can see it the moment you enter the room. My real issue with this quest is that joining Rosaria is a way of saying "Hasta la vista, Ceres." The first moment you can ever hear her mutter something like, "Rosaria and I didn't get along in the playground."
That dark spirit was one of Rosaria's fingers. Vile, bastard offspring who lurk in the darkness. My sworn enemies.
Is after you arrive at Irithyll. Yes, basically 2 zones after you've cleared the Cathedral of the Deep, where Rosaria is located. The only way you can save yourself from this is by having phobia of worms, or I guess if you are a poor explorer, that works too because you'll never find her. Then, if that wasn't enough, after defeating Aldrich, she expects you to open the Ash Maiden wares.
Welcome.
And reading the description of a single, almost useless item which is identical to the others of its kind. Why would you ever click here and start reading it is beyond my comprehension. Read the note, and it will say, she's at the Pit of Hollows, but yeah, not exactly there, but at the top of the crater, where there is literally nothing else to do, and the only reason you would ever come near this place is to donate shackles. But inside of the crater, not up there where her summon sign is. After all that nonsense, Classical from Software gives you their best outcome for a character's quest.
At last, my grandfather will rest in peace, and I can die.
Yes, she dies no matter what. Thank you, Dark Souls. Speaking of unavoidable death, the Thinking Onion has a lot to answer to. Why let us complete your whole quest if we skip the first encounter with him and literally lock us out of the conclusion? If you don't help him against the demon in Undead Settlement, you can do every step, like getting him his armor, drinking with him, bailing him out of jail, but you still won't see the ending to his quest, which gives a new cutscene, a new conclusion to a boss fight, and a cool 2v1 that feels canon because you're not summoning the help. He literally went through the fog gate with you. Helping him out in the Cathedral of the Deep can also be a bit of a hit or miss situation. In New Game, you have to find patches inside of the building to buy the armor from him and give it to Sigurd. But it feels like whatever triggers patches to spawn hasn't been very well established yet. Some say he won't spawn if you lit Rosaria's bonfire before meeting him, some others say he doesn't if you don't talk to Sigurd in the undead settlement. The solution for both is going to the Firelink Tower, where he shuts the gate because asshole. I went to the tower, but I didn't get him to spawn there either, so the steps are very clunky to follow. It's funny that Grey Rat's fate is tied to one of the most slippery quests in this game. It's like the creators wanted him dead by any means possible. Ah, you didn't help Sigurd in the cathedral? Bye, Grey Rat. Ah, you sent Sigurd to Irithyll but rested at the distant manor bonfire? So long, Grey Rat. Ah, you somehow managed to fucking save him despite all of our— Send him to Lothric Castle. I dare you, bitch. By the way, releasing Onion Man from his cell in the profaned capital is also another test of patience, because should I follow this obvious path to the boss and finish him quick? Or explore this piece of crap of a level first and figure it out? I have to do a jump to get to this hidden door where an important character who will help me with this area's boss is locked for some reason. It just sucks. Well, so according to the judgment of a person who has lost everything in life for platinum in these games except for his virginity, what is the most cryptic quest between Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3?
You are an odd one indeed.
Hit the drums. Leading the pig to Saldora to eat some grass and unlock a slightly better axe. Nah, just kidding.
Sigmayer of Katarina from Dark Souls 1.
I honestly cannot think of any other character quest in all Souls games that is as hard to complete organically as his. Finding him in locations such as that corner in Blighttown, literally selecting no as a response to give him purple moss fails the quest entirely. The worst part is not getting the proper ending to the quest where it feels complete, since it gives you a slab. For that, you have to allow him to charge towards the Chaos Eaters and survive the battle with more than 50% HP. If he ends the battle below that, he'll die on the spot. But if you finish them all before even letting him attack them, he won't fulfill his mission to return you the favors you've done for him, and I consider that to be left incomplete, even if it's the only alternative where he is still alive in the end. To top it off, the fact that they never tell you where they're going, not him, not his daughter, just makes it unnecessarily more complicated. Like, guys, your game is good, you don't need to pull off these shenanigans to make me play it again because of some unfinished quest. How the flying fuck am I supposed you'll be down here of all the places when you haven't even mentioned this place? Oh, I forgot, you actually did. In your own way.
There you are. I'll be heading down below shortly.
My next video will most likely be a commentary analyzing how Expedition 33 is a freaking awesome game for Souls players to try. Or playing Bloodborne while the Zone Order makes no sense, taking advantage of bugs and other unorthodox tactics. No mods. Thank you for watching, comrades. See you in the next one. Bye.